The weekend concludes Monday night, second time ever. Last year was the first forgettable game between the Cardinals and Rams. This time around, it's the Cowboys and the Bucs, a rematch of Week 1 when the Bucs won 19-3 on Sunday Night Football in Dallas. The Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites. Jason Garrett, the former Cowboys coach, has been making the point that the Cowboys are a different team on grass. They look like ass against the Commanders this past weekend. Dak Prescott did not have a good game. It ultimately didn't matter, but when the game started, it mattered for all they knew. They were alive for the 1 seed. They looked lifeless. They looked uninspired. They looked disinterested. And now they get Tom Brady in career playoff game number 48. Half the field, 7 of the 14 quarterbacks have no playoff experience. Tom Brady has 47 games of playoff experience. This will be number 48. Bucs are underdogs. 2.5 points at home, 45.5 over under. Chris, get us started. What are you going to be looking for in this one?
Well, Mike, do you think the Bucs can run the ball on the Cowboys, right? Because that's what they did in that first matchup earlier this year. And I think that's one thing that I look at the Cowboys defense, Mike, a little bit like I said with the Chargers. They're really good when you're good at just one thing, right? If you're a great passing team like the Vikings, right? They could go, oh, wait, we can go all in. You're not that good at the run, so now we can play all these things to stop your passing game, and we can slow that down. They're good against those type of teams when an offense is elite in one area, because then they can go all in on one area, and they got some talent and a little creativity on that side of the ball. But when you're balanced, that's when we see and they've had issues. So, do you think that's where I'm very, confused about the matchup. This is a confusing one. Do you think that? What's your pasta and meatballs say about that?
This is a game that we have largely forgotten because the palate was cleansed by the Cowboys going to Minnesota the following week and winning 40-3. And that was when the Cowboys started on a run. They kind of felt like dominance. They kind of felt like one of the best teams in the NFL. But when they went to Green Bay, what happened? They got steamrolled in the run game. Steamrolled. And there was all this consternation in the aftermath about, Micah Parsons, you didn't get to rush the quarterback. Well, you don't get to rush the quarterback if you can't stop the run. Rushing the quarterback and getting sacks is one of the privileges that flows in a defense's direction when it can stop the run. If you can't stop the run and you're constantly on your heels, you never pin your ears back. And you got Parsons talking about how he wants to be dominant in this playoff run, and that means making quarterbacks go down. And if the running game is keeping you from doing that, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to be on your heels, and it's going to be a difficult day. And Leonard Fournette, he had a big day right out of the gates against the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys are a team where if you give them that opening early, I feel like they will blast through it and embarrass you. But if you give it back to them, if you go toe-to-toe with them, you can hold them off. And I just feel like they get frustrated, offensively and defensively. When it's not going their way, instead of digging deep and making it go their way, I feel like frustration can come out and take over. Is that wrong to feel that way about this team?
No, I understand that. You're right. They got a little bit of that, momentum, front runner. Once they jump on you, they feed off of it, and they realize, oh, wait, we got them in a frenzy, and they're panicked, and they feed off of it. You're right about that. They got some guys that are, can go, like we talk about all the time, above and beyond the scheme and make plays where you just go, that's unbelievable. Wow. That's you can't coach that right there. They're one of those teams. They definitely are. And that's where, I worry about them that way. You've heard me say before, I worry about their size on their defensive side of the ball. And like what you were saying with the pack, you look at their losses, it's all about that. It's balanced offenses where they can't go all in on one area. And again, the Bucs, that might have been their best offensive game of the year. That's what's crazy. And that's where it's weird to kind of figure this out. And then the Cowboys, let's not forget that they didn't play in the preseason. So that was the first time they stepped on the field. And they looked like it. And they're better on defense and on offense than they were, then at that point. So that's where it's interesting, too. And then because of the run game, Mike, the Cowboys had to load the box to such an extent. Brady had great success with wide receiver screens out in the edge, right? Because everybody's in there. So let's throw the wide receiver screen and we'll kind of pin them in there and now get a few blocks on the edge, and Godwin and the receivers can get up the sidelines for big games. That was a big part of this. The Cowboys can't play over aggressive in this one. This is one where I'd go, Cowboys, play pass defense. Don't let Brady have one-on-ones with Mike Evans and have Trayvon Diggs guessing and jumping routes and doing all that. Play pass defense. Make them, let's see it to believe it, that they can run the ball on your team at this point of the year. Because in a lot of ways, the Buccaneers offense has gotten worse in some ways. And so I don't know if I can really expect that kind of output in the run game again here, but I'd be careful or be scared if I was the Cowboys going too all in to stop that and then leaving some, favorable looks for Brady in the pass game that could be scary.
Well, the reality is the Buccaneers, as Tom Brady said this week, are as healthy as they've been all year long. Chris Godwin, more than a year removed from his ACL tear. Mike Evans, just flat out dominant in that game they had to have against the Carolina Panthers. Now, it would help if they would have actually covered him, but that puts a lot of pressure on that defense. And Brady slipping into postseason Tommy mode, understanding and thriving, relishing, embracing, having the whole season ride on the outcome of this game. We've seen him thrive time and time again in these settings. I'm not picking against Tom Brady. He can still throw it, and I think he'll make enough throws at the right times to make the difference, and he will love it. And he would love to be down late, driving the Buccaneers down the field for a potential game winner. That's just where he makes his best plays and where he elevates a team and propels them farther up the playoff tree. I got 19-16 in this one just because they scored 19 against the Cowboys in week 1, and that Monday night game against the Saints when they won 19-16 after down 16-3, or it was 17-16, excuse me, but I'm melding the two together, and I'm thinking we're just going to be talking about it on Tuesday. After sticking a fork in him for most of the year, Tom Brady is still here, and there's no reason to think he's going away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And I think, it's tough because of what you're talking about. And Brady in these situations, he's always hard to pick against. And if they run the ball with some success, it could be really hard for Dallas. Now, what was very apparent in that first game, too, was if Tampa had a pass, they can't protect against Dallas. That's for sure. Dallas is any obvious passing situation, they were all over Brady. He couldn't do anything. So that's where I don't know. It's a very weird game that way. And then the Buccaneers, yeah, they're healthy on defense. But what's weird about the Bucs is they haven't stopped the run really all that well this year. And damn, when Dallas can run the ball, just watch out, because that's when they become, really explosive on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to go with what I saw all year. It's a dangerous matchup, but the Cowboys are a better football team. I'm not going to get scared off by this Tom Brady thing. I'm not. I'm going to go Cowboys 24-20. I think they get the win on Monday night.
All right, I got Bucs 19-16, so we disagree on both straight up and spread pick there. It's good to see that we disagree on something because I like to continue to expand my lead farther and farther and farther against you.
Thanks for watching, homies. Hit subscribe to see all my unbuttoned videos. You get to see me, Ahmed Fareed, all the big player breakdowns, game breakdowns, player interviews, and my film analysis. So please subscribe. Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Peace out.